7th graders. This is your guidance counselor, Mrs. Hughes. Although I can't be there in person today, I want to make sure that I'm the one who's guiding you guys through your course selection and registration process. Right now, your teacher should be handing out a blue packet of information that gives you all of the information that I'm going to be covering in this presentation. Your teachers will be handing that out to you. Something new we're going to do this year, instead of registering only with paper, we're going to try doing online registration. So tonight after school, you'll be able to go home and talk with your family about your course selections and submit your registration choices online. The blue packet that's being handed out will give you more information about how to do that. I'll also cover that a little bit more. You will still have a piece of paper that needs to be returned next week to your advisory teacher. It's the parent verification that tells us if you were able to successfully register online or if you need help next week from your advisory teacher. Either way, those need to come back. So we want to make sure that your papers don't get lost. At this point, please write your name where I've circled student name, and write your advisory teacher where it says advisory teacher. Your advisory teacher is the person whose class you are in now. If you do not know the name of your advisory teacher, please raise your hand, and then your teacher can write that name on the board so you can copy it down. I also want you to make sure that you circle the due date. This paper, and only this part of the paper, is due to your advisory teacher next Wednesday. Again, whether or not you were able to register online. Second page of your packet explains a little bit about core classes and all of the other classes you'll take at Plymouth. In 8th grade, just like in 7th grade, your core classes are English, math, science, social studies, and reading or global language. The only thing that changes for students in immersion, the immersion program, they take their science and social studies classes in Spanish, and their language class is an advanced Spanish class. Immersion students have the same English and math courses available to non-immersion students. You will be selecting a global language. Students whose reading, math, and MCA scores meet standards will study a global language in 8th grade, Spanish or French, and that's, for most students, that is a year-long language course. Students who have not yet met standards on their MAP and reading MCA tests will take a year-long reading course to develop their reading skills. Students, because your class placement is determined by these MAP and MCA scores, it is so important to always try your best on these tests. Otherwise, you're going to be in a class that doesn't fit your passion and possibly doesn't fit your ability. One thing to know, I will be the one to review every single student test score to make sure that they are in the right class. So please do your best on those tests so I'm looking at accurate information. But I do want everyone to be able to choose what language they want to take. I'm hoping that everyone who wants to take a language is able to next year. So I want to know what you want to be in. So please turn to that last page, page 4 of the packet, and take a look at the global language course selections. It lists a course number. You'll need that when you register online, but I'm not going to go over that right now. I want you to focus on the options, and I want you to check the box for the class that you want. French 8 and Spanish 1-8 are both continuing language classes. Those two classes pick up from language instruction in 7th grade. So if you were during first semester or are currently in a French or Spanish class, you would choose the next course in the sequence. So if you were in French this year, even if you just started last week, I want you to choose French for 8th grade. Same with Spanish. If you were in Spanish in 6th or 7th grade, in 7th grade for sure, so some kids are in 6th grade and 7th, some just 7th. If you were in Spanish in 7th grade, choose Spanish 1-8. Pay attention to the Spanish 8B. That is a beginner Spanish class. That is a course that's available to students who are taking language for the first time in 8th grade. So that would be for students who are new to our school, which you're not if you're sitting here now, or students who weren't eligible to take a language in 7th grade and they just became eligible for language in 8th grade. Spanish 8B is a little different than a traditional class because it's only a half a year long. The first half of the year, students in Spanish 8B do still take a reading class, and then they take the beginner Spanish class at the end of the year. That's a very basic introduction class. It is not a good option for students who took any Spanish here in our school in 7th grade. It is also not a good option for someone who wants to switch from French to Spanish because you do have to take that first semester of reading. But if you did not take a language in 7th grade, this would be the course you choose, Spanish 8B. Advanced Spanish 8 is only available to Spanish immersion students. In this class, you develop fluency in the language to a greater degree. So again, this is only available to Spanish immersion students. Spanish immersion students, you must choose Advanced Spanish 8 if you want to continue in the immersion program. This is the only course that continues you in immersion. If you do not choose Advanced Spanish 8 and you are an immersion student, we will need to have a conversation with your family about your future in immersion. Allied Arts classes, as you know, same options in 8th grade as there are in 7th grade. We offer every year music, physical education, 7th and 8th graders take health. Some 7th and 8th graders have opportunities in art, technology education, including Gateway to Technology and Woodshop, and family and consumer science, which includes cooking, sewing, and consumer science. Extended math. Students who have not yet met standards on their math, MAP, or MCA tests will take an extended hour of math in order to provide that extra support. The course is scheduled during one of the Allied Arts periods. I am going to be the one to review all math test scores for all students and determine if students have met standards and determine which students need to have that extra hour of math in order to meet the standards in 8th grade. Again, because your class placement is determined by your MAP and MCA scores, it is super important to always try your best on these tests. It is also important to know that just because you were in extended math in 7th grade does not mean you will be in it for 8th grade. And just because you are not in extended math in 7th grade does not mean you won't be in it for 8th grade. I will review those test scores in the spring and make placements. Music selection. Music options for 8th grade students the same as 7th grade. You can choose band, orchestra, choir, or a combination of band, choir, orchestra, choir. Please make sure that you've made a thoughtful decision about your music selection because you will not, it is very difficult to drop a music class in the middle of the year, especially if you choose a combined music option. For example, if you choose band and choir and in the middle of the year you decide you want to drop one of the pieces and move to band only or choir only, it's often not an option. So if you are choosing one of the combined music classes, please expect that you will spend all of 8th grade in that class. Unfortunately, we do not offer a beginning band or orchestra class. So students wanting to join band or orchestra with no experience can't do this unless you are able to get private lessons outside of school. If you are interested in that, please talk with me or talk with a music teacher and we'll tell you how many private lessons you need to have outside of school and how to arrange an audition. Otherwise, students who are new to music can always choose choir at any point. But remember, when you select a course, we expect that you will want to commit to being in that class the whole year. Your options for 8th grade are just like 7th grade, and I want you to pay attention to your choice and check which choice you want. So you can choose band, choir, orchestra, or combined band, choir, combined orchestra. Here's a little check mark down here for my child prefers to participate in other Allied Arts class other than music. You will check that on your form if you don't want music, but you'll notice there's no course number over here for you to enter. So when it comes to the online registration system, you just leave that blank, but make sure this is checked when you hand the form back to your teacher. How do you register for 8th grade? I mentioned this online registration thing. If you look at page 3 of your blue packet, it'll give some detailed instructions. I trust that you and your family can review that, read that, and follow the directions. You do need to have a portal account. All students do. Most parents do. So you can register through your student account or through your parent account, whatever your family prefers. The portal will open today after school, and you will need to complete that online registration before the end of the day on February 3rd, which is next Tuesday. February 4th, you need to return that last page, the parent verification form, to your advisory teacher. This also tells us whether or not you were able to register online or if you need some help. So your teacher will collect one of those from every student next Wednesday. Students who weren't able to register at home for any reason, whether that's no access to tech or you forgot, whatever the barrier is, your advisory teacher will help you register next week. Again, the portal will be open starting today at 3 p.m. and it will be open for you to enter your course selections through next Tuesday. Please complete your registration at home during this time. This information will also be posted on the school website and on Schoology so that parents can access this information if needed. Again, return your parent verification form to your advisory teacher next Wednesday. If you have any questions, you can always ask a teacher. A lot of the teachers can answer basic questions about registration, or get in touch with me. Easiest ways to do that quickly is to send me an email. My email is in the system. If you start typing in Shelly Hughes or just Hughes, you should find me, but my email is listed there, Shelly_Hughes@ardale.org. You can always send me a message through Schoology. That's a really easy way. Go to your Schoology page, click Messages, send a message, send me it there. If you're in Red Lunch, you can usually find me there. It's a great place to ask basic and quick questions. Or you can make an appointment with me in the guidance office. That usually takes a couple of extra days, and so if this is a quick question that you have, it's probably best to reach me in one of those other ways. I hope this presentation gave you the information you need to talk with your parents about registration for 8th grade. Have a great day.